In the last few decades, several events have occurred and shaped the world we live in today. From wars, increased birth rate, and the spread of deadly diseases, humanity has faced it all. However, some of these events are not always discovered until very late. Thankfully, Anonymous, a decentralized international activist and hacktivist movement mainly known for its several cyber attacks against several government agencies, has spotted an anomaly and announced to people in the United States that something has been released into their environment. What has been released in the United States and how will it impact our lives? Join us as we explore what Anonymous just announced, which was released in the United States without people knowing. Thanks to the secret organization Anonymous, both the residents in Florida and the United States at large were made known of an undercover operation that started years back. Unbeknown to anyone, this operation had already started altering the American environment that we know and love. Florida, the state of target, has had a high record of mosquito-borne diseases in the last few years. These diseases have several variations such as yellow fever, dengue, chikungunya, and Zika. Transmitted primarily by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, these illnesses have caused several damage and deformities to humans and our environment. Even though they move like a featherweight and represent 4% of Florida Keys mosquitoes, Aedes aegypti are a potent health hazard. Thankfully, a biotech firm has developed an intelligent technology, a swarm of genetically modified mosquitoes released to limit the harm caused by these blood-sucking insects. A genetically modified mosquito is similar to a regular mosquito, but serves a different purpose. Think of these unique species as an alternative to insecticides. They're used widely in the United States to control the massive insect population disturbing the environment and the evolution of mosquitoes immune to insecticides. The biotech firm behind this huge innovation, Oxitec, has been successful with this project. Their proven track record of testing genetically engineered mosquitoes in several countries has been a huge advantage to the world. Their team, working around the clock to produce friendly mosquito solutions, has successfully controlled the widespread diseases in Brazil, Panama, the Cayman Islands, and Malaysia. The Florida Keys Mosquito Control District approached this British biotech firm in 2010 about testing their technology in the area. Florida was and is still having several issues with mosquito-borne diseases. This move was proposed in 2009 when the state began experiencing cases of locally transmitted dengue and then locally transmitted Zika a few years later. The mosquitoes have also grown to become resistant to chemical pesticides, which warranted calling Oxitec in to resolve the infestation of mosquitoes. The biotech firm adopted the new method of bioengineered pest control, the very first experiment done in the United States. The experiment is carried out by releasing bioengineered male Aedes aegypti mosquitoes. They are mass-produced to carry two types of genes: a self-limiting gene that stops the female mosquito from growing into becoming an adult, and they also carry a fluorescent marker gene that glows under a special red light. This glow allows researchers and scientists to identify the bioengineered mosquitoes out in the wild. When the modified mosquitoes grow to the adult stage, they are then released into the environment to encounter the female mosquitoes, which bite and infect diseases. The male Aedes aegypti mosquitoes don't bite, so their main purpose is to mate with the female mosquitoes, passing the genes to their offspring. As the female offspring grows, the genes limit it from surviving, killing the female in its early stages of birth. However, the male offspring has a different purpose. The male offspring continues his father's work, carrying the gene and passing it to future generations. And as the female Aedes aegypti mosquito continues to die with each birth, the mosquito population reduces. The goal of this experiment in Florida was to gather more information and reproduce their past results, just like the one done in Brazil by the British biotech company. When the experiment was conducted in Brazil, the biotech firm recorded a decline in mosquito populations. This decline was productive as they achieved a fall of 95% in mosquitoes during a 13-week trial. The company planned to implement this experiment again to show the US regulators that the technology works, but some residents living in the Florida Keys were not buying that idea. Due to the anti-genetically modified organism sentiment widely spread across the United States, the residents feel that the Oxitec experiment would harm them. For instance, the average American adult does not trust genetically modified foods, so talking about a massive genetic experiment sounds like a bad idea to the residents living in the Florida Keys. When some locals were interviewed about the biotech's involvement, they expressed their dislike towards the company, saying the company believes they were dumb enough to let them run such experiments in their areas of residence. The locals worry that they might be bitten by the mosquitoes, causing more health issues and interrupting the community's ecosystem. Unhappy about their areas of residence being chosen as test sites, some locals threatened to disrupt the experiment's progress by spraying insecticides near the release points. The release points are where the biotech company places a box of modified mosquitoes before they hatch and are released into the wild. Workers at Oxitec say these people, threatening to disrupt the company's experiment, represents a minority that works towards distorting scientific truth. These minorities are also bankrolled by large anti-GMO organizations. Oxitec's CEO Gray Frenzen was baffled at this hostility towards his establishment. Gray says that the biotech company has been slandered and called every name in the book. To effectively combat Oxitec's experiment, the Florida Keys Environmental Coalition was created. This group is part of the local Coalition Against Genetically Modified Mosquitoes, and they prove the reasons for their existence. They present themselves as an all-volunteer organization, saying their concerns are reasonable enough to prevent the experiment. They gathered over 200,000 signatures in a petition against the Oxitec project, including a letter signed by several local doctors requesting additional testing as a measure of their support to prevent the experiment's kickoff. Molecular biologist Natalie Kofler, a Harvard Medical School lecturer and founder of Editing Nature, made a statement about the locals' reactions to Oxitec's experiment. As you can imagine, emotions run high, and there are people who feel strongly either for or against it. She also commented further, talking from a local's point of view. She noted how concerned it would have been to have mosquitoes released to a previously infested neighborhood. Kofler, who has been following the project for years, proposed that the residents' concerns could be due to the uncertainty of new technology. The biotech company has been informing the locals residing in the Florida Keys about each step of their experiment, providing answers to all their queries. Even after explaining the slim chances that a female mosquito with a lethal gene has to reproduce, the people do not have confidence in what they're hearing because it's coming from a company, Kofler concluded. Despite all public disputes and disagreements towards the Oxitec experiment with the human health and environmental risks that the biotech company could trigger, the Florida Keys Mosquito Control District approved the Oxitec experiment to begin in August 2020. The approval includes the release of 750 million genetically modified mosquitoes for 2 years. The mosquitoes were released in Monroe County, Florida, with the experiment commencing in late April 2021. To begin the project, the experiment's researchers picked 6 locations in 3 areas of Florida Keys and placed boxes containing Oxitec's mosquito eggs in those locations. The first males emerged within the first 2 weeks of May, and approximately 12,000 male mosquitoes left the boxes each week for 12 weeks. A second phase was conducted later in the year, and 20 million mosquitoes emerged over a period of 16 weeks, according to the biotech company. The second phase commenced on August 9th, known as Project B. Project B's boxes were also placed in 6 areas, 2 on Vaca Key, 2 on Little Torch Key, and 1 on Conch Key and 1 on Ramrod Key. As Project B was 4 weeks longer than Project A, the release locations produced over 150,000 male mosquitoes for all 16 weeks. Oxitec CEO Gray Frenzen commented on his company's work, saying his biotech organization is nothing short of existential for humanity. The CEO said that the biotech company is seeking to develop and provide more technologies that allow the human race to keep existing on this planet. And now, insect pests are one of the most significant threats to that. Globally, these mosquito-borne diseases kill more than 1 million people every year. Also, climate change expands the insects' range, with the pathogens they carry to regions where they have not thrived before. These circumstances gave more urgency to developing technologies like Oxitec's gene editing innovation. In March of this year, the United States Environmental Protection Agency granted an extension of the experimental use permit to proceed with the pilot project. After this approval from the national level, FDA/CS also reviewed and approved Oxitec's state-level permit applications. The 2022 project launched on May 9th, and it incorporates the placement of Oxitec's Just Add Water mosquito boxes. These Just Add Water mosquito boxes are placed on the properties of volunteer residents in 3 release areas in Vaca Key. This phase of the project became packed, as the demand from volunteers to participate was so high there had to be a waitlist established for the project. The biotech CEO, Gray Franzen, was happy with the turnout of events in Florida. He expressed his gratitude to the Florida Keys Mosquito Control District and to all the communities who have welcomed his company and officials in the Keys. Moving on with the statement, he assured the community to expect greater work from his company to deliver effective, accessible, and environmentally friendly solutions further to control the growing threat of invasive, disease-carrying mosquitoes. The executive director of Florida Keys Mosquito Control District, Andrea Leal, was delighted about the progress of pest control technology in their town. She was happy to get back to work with Oxitec, as they have made tremendous progress together since the pilot project that took place the previous year. She added that she looks forward to continuing this important work during this year's mosquito season. The third phase of the 2022 mosquito project between the Florida Keys Mosquito Control District and Oxitec kicked off in September. This phase was exceptional, focusing on the mark, release, and recapture of Oxitec's male mosquitoes. Termed Project E, the project reviewed the performance done by the released Oxitec male mosquitoes, such as lifespan and dispersal. This pest control technology created by Oxitec is completely harmless to essential insects like bees and butterflies. It has achieved its aim to control the diseases spread by the Aedes aegypti mosquito in Florida. The maximum number of Oxitec mosquitoes released across all three 2022 projects is estimated to be 7 million. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.